Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today I'm going to give a presentation about poetry and poetry analysis. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Ahmada Mulki Zakia and my student's ID number is 0601052000 and 2. And I'm now taking a course Linguistic and Literature C. And my department is English Education Department at UINSA, Surabaya. So we are going to discuss what we are going to discuss. First of all, we are going to discuss about poetry. And the second one is poetry analysis. What does it contain in the first discussion? In the poetry, we'll see and also explain about the definition, elements, literary devices, or figurative language. While in the poetry analysis, we'll find and also analyze four liveswell poetry by Emily Bront. So here we go. We are going to the first slides of the presentation. About poetry. Poetry, as we know, what do we know about poetry? Poetry is one of four genres. It is special kinds of writing to arrange the words in creative way to help readers think or feel. Therefore, poetry tells thoughts and feelings of the author. So if we know about the elements and also what does it contain in this poetry, we'll find the beauty inside of this one. And then the next one is about the elements of the poetry. Anyone can guess what are the elements of the poetry? Yes, that's what I think. There are five. The first one is stanza, the second is rhyme, and the third is repetition, and the fourth is rhythm, and the last one is imagery. So what are they mean? So their meaning is the first one, we'll see stanza. Stanza is a group of lines in poetry. We'll have a look at the example later in the poetry analysis, but right now I just want to give some sides of this one. And when we write a poetry, we'll find that we write it in the four lines or just in the same pattern. So in the following stanza, we must add 5 lines to 5 and 4 or 5 and 5, just like that. And then what about the second one? The second one is rhyme. Rhyme is described as the words that end in the same sound. So like we are analyze it later in the poetry, we'll find and that the same pattern of the ends will be in the same sound, such as but not all of the poetry has this rhyme exactly. And then what about the third? Repetition. Repetition is words or lines that repeat to pay special attention to the language. There might be lines or words that is repeated in each line of the stanza or maybe in several stanzas that follows. And then the fourth one is rhythm. Rhythm is the pattern of the sound that creates the tone for the poem. So we can get the emotional side or just like to generate emotion and enhance ideas. So it must be in the further study. And then the last one is imagery. This one is words that paint a picture in our mind. It gives readers sense of sight, smell, sound, touch, and even taste. So we'll find any words that feel like we are in that time. We can see or smell or sound and even taste, just like that. And then what we're going to discuss next, we are going to discuss about figurative language. These are alliteration and assonance. Those are elements that compose poetry to help the author express their feeling. What are they mean? So the first one is alliteration. Alliteration means as the repetition of consonant sound that usually occurs at the beginning of the successive words. Like the example below. Someone left the log of the laboratory. It means that we find over here on the words that marks red color, exactly on the words at the words left, log, and the laboratory. This consonant is L sound over here. They are repeated in the different words that is actually left, log, and laboratory. What about assonance? Assonance means such as the repetition of vowel sound in the beginning of the successive words. Like over here, an ordinary person organizes an orphanage. We find there are three O sounds over here in the words ordinary, organizes, and orphanage. Alright, those all are about the elements of the poetry, the definition, and also the figurative language for like alliteration and assonance. So let's go to the next discussion, to the last discussion, that is poetry analysis. We'll analyze poetry Four Leaves Fall by Emily Bronte. So let's have a look over here and let's read it first. Let me read. Fall, leaves, fall. Die, flowers, away. Let the night, shun the day. Every leaf speaks bliss to me, fluttering from the autumn tree. I shall smile when the wreath of snow blossom where the rose should grow. I shall sing when nights decay, useless in a drearier day. So let's analyze it one by one. Over here, exactly, I've made an indicator. There are 5 indicators over here that are marked by these squares. This square contains different colors. The first one is blue, yellow, red, and green, and also the last one is purple. And what are these means? What are these indicator means? So the first one, we are going to the blue square. The blue square means about stanza. We find over here there are 2 stanzas over this poetry, Four Leaves Fall. The first one is here and the second one is here. Alright, what about the yellow color? The yellow color means rhyme. Rhyme, as we know, it's all about the word ending that it has a very different shape or very same sounds in the end. Such as over here, there are a couple lines that in the same sound in the end of these lines exactly, like away, day, and it ends by Y, or me and tree, it's ended by E sound. And then what about the red indicator? Red indicator is the repetition. We found in the first line that is fall and fall. It repeated twice over here, the word fall. So it must be the repetition. It could be words or lines, but over here we find words. And then the green is indicated imagery. So like the example right here in the first stanza, that is leaf speaks. So we could cite or just say like leaf speaks, but it actually have an implicit means over here. Every leaf speaks bliss to me. So it's a kind of bliss or right over here, that something is talking, but it's just imagination. So we just have to imagine And then what about the purple? The purple one means about the alliteration. So the alliteration is the repetition of the consonant sounds. Yeah, we find over here there are three repetition of the consonant sounds over here in the successive words. The first one is shall, smile, snow. So it contains sound over here. Sound over here exactly. And then the conclusion over here, we didn't find any assonance. How could it be? So right here, this poetry doesn't contain any assonance. And then the rhythm. The rhythm is how we produce a tone by reading the poem. And this one is emphasizing words that shows matter in it. So we must have further study about it and also learn about how we have to put the emphasizing words in the lines. Alright, maybe that's all the presentation from me. If I have any mistake, forgive me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.